Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to take a little bit of a deeper look at mindfulness and exploring what it truly is and the power behind it. If you follow my channel, you have probably seen some of the other videos that I post in regards to different exercises about relaxation, self-care, trauma-informed yoga, the mudras, and so on and so forth. And every single one of those has a component of mindfulness attached to it, because mindfulness is a very powerful capability that we have within our mental capacities. Oftentimes when we think about this powerful brain that we're all born with, we kind of focus on our imagination, our intelligence, but that aspect of mindfulness is something else that we really truly can, engage with, and being able to find ways of truly enjoying our life and finding more meaning within it as we become more mindful day to day. So the concept of mindfulness was originally taken from Buddhist meditation teachings, but it has been adapted for use in treatment of depression, assisting with mood regulation, and it's been found to have considerable health benefits. Mindfulness is a form of self-awareness, and when we talk about that, we define that as being a state of being present in the moment and accepting things for what they are without judgment, including our own thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. And that often, as you think about that definition, it can be very difficult for some people. And part of that is that we've been trained, whether it's just kind of the natural human condition that exists or maybe more of societal pressures, but we have this tendency to label everything, which truly is making a judgment about something. So when we say that a feeling is good or bad, we're judging it. When the reality is a feeling is just a feeling. And if you really want to get the basic levels of it, a feeling is truly just a chemical reaction that's happening in your body. Our thoughts are truly just responses to those feelings or those chemical reactions. And our physical sensations are all tied together as those are all happening at the same time. So mindfulness allows us to be aware of those and accepting of them without having to do anything further with that. So when we are mindful, your awareness is in the current moment. You become much more aware of yourself, your surroundings, and simply observe things just as they are. You're aware of your own thoughts and feelings, but you don't react to them the way you normally do if we are what I like to call being on autopilot. It's mindfulness is kind of like a form of conscious meditation that you can absorb everything going on around you all the time, but still not allowing it to impact you in a way that could be kind of detrimental or harmful or annoying or whatever you want to call about that. So when I talk about the term autopilot, most of the times we go through our lives on autopilot. There's so much of what we do that's just automatic. Have you ever gotten in your car after work and you're driving home and you pull into your driveway, park in your garage if you have one, and you just kind of sit there in the car and you turn it off and you're like, how did I get home? That's what autopilot truly is we just go through the stages of our normal activities without really paying attention to what we're doing. Um, you know, and you might even sit there as you're sitting in your driveway after you got home and not be having been mindful of it. Well, did I stop at that stop sign at the end of the block? And oh God, I hope I didn't run any red lights. And the thing is your body is consciously going through that and making choices for you, but you're not really aware of them. And you're not engaging in your life. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you're sitting there and you're listening to them, but you're not really listening to them? So you're hearing them, but not exactly. And they ask you a question, and you're like, huh? And you know that you're paying attention, but you're not absorbing it because your mind is in a million other different places except for right there in that moment. And that's what mindfulness teaches us, to be present here and now and not letting kind of everything else, whether it's the chaos of the day or that to-do list or the many distractions that kind of just come in and we're bombarded with throughout the day drag our mind in a direction that we don't really actually want to go. We are able to then kind of make better decisions for ourselves, and we're able to enjoy more about our day. The reality is that thoughts come and go, and it seems like we really don't have much say what turns up in our head. And I would say that's actually true. We can't always control what's there. One of the things about our brain is once something is there, it's always there. We can't exactly turn it off, but we can turn it down. For example, if you have some really negative automatic thoughts about something, you may hear those thoughts pop up in certain situations. Um, and yeah, we can learn to reframe them, but we can't necessarily learn to just stop them completely. Mindfulness helps us give us that opportunity to hear that thought, not react to it. Tell ourselves whatever we need to tell ourselves to stay present and not allow that thought to drag us down, that path that's going to be maybe more negative for us. And, continue to go on about our day the way we truly want to go about our day. One of the things that, also when we talk about kind of autopilot in mindfulness is that if we were really to kind of stand back and observe our mind and observe how it knows, we would notice really truly actually how easily our thoughts skip from one unfinished idea to the next. Our brain is firing at super fast speeds, and we don't actually catch everything that's going on with it. So these thoughts are constantly interrupting one another and overlapping in a constant stream of pictures, ideas, memories, desires, so on and so forth. So through mindfulness, you can learn to take a step back and observe all this mental activity and all the feelings and impulses that it causes, and you begin to separate yourself from their influence. So I mentioned two key words, and that was awareness and acceptance. So when we're talking about awareness, during mindfulness, again, you notice your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations as they happen. And the goal isn't to clear your mind or to stop thinking, it's to become aware of those thoughts, feelings, and sensations rather than just getting lost in them. Acceptance is as you notice those thoughts, feelings, and sensations, again, observing them in a non judgmental manner, not labeling them and not doing anything more with them, is simply stating to yourself, I notice that I'm feeling this, or I notice that I'm thinking this. So, for example, if you notice a feeling of nervousness, simply state to yourself, I notice that I'm feeling nervous. There's no need to further judge or change the feeling. Some of the benefits that we get from mindfulness includes reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety, improved memory focus, and mental processing speed, improved ability to adapt to stressful situations, greater satisfaction within our relationships. I mean, my goodness, if we're mindful in our relationships, just think of how much drama we can avoid because we're actually paying attention to what's going on with our partner, and they're paying attention to us too. Reduced rumination, or which is repeatedly going over the same thought or problem over and over and over again, and improved ability to manage emotions, including extreme emotions. One of the other really great things and the power behind mindfulness is that when you are mindful, you get to choose how you react to life. Now, that may seem a little strange because, we may think to ourselves, well, of course I choose how I react to life. The reality is that we don't always. Most of the time, we are reacting to situations. So, once again, to restate, when you're mindful, you remain in a state of alert attentiveness to the present moment. And instead of judging the things that are going on as good or bad, you simply expect them or accept them for the way they are. By not labeling or judging all these circumstances that are taking place around you, you're freed from that normal tendency to just react. So consider one type of example of this. Imagine that you're driving down a freeway when all of a sudden another driver just cuts in front of you and cuts you off. Your mind instantly judges the motorist's actions as being bad or disrespectful, and within an instant you begin to feel angry. or you might feel something else. Sometimes when you get cut off, you might have that instant fear that kicks in. And so that might be it. And then it builds into anger or something along those lines. Now, you have the right to feel any way you choose about what this other driver did. But make no mistake, your anger or your fear is definitely a choice. Now, that instant reaction to it is the normal body response, but continuing to carry that emotion further is your choice. So, when you're on that autopilot again and you're just allowing your emotions and your thoughts to run you instead of you running them, you're, just kind of engaging in this reactive moment. You're not being proactive. You're allowing your thoughts and feelings to take the driver's seat. But when you're alert and mindful of the present moment, you respond to the world with much more openness and a sense of acceptance rather than the judgment or those automated responses. Judgment oftentimes is pretty fruitless. It can also be really harmful for yourself. So if, for example, you just reacted with anger towards that other driver, then stop and realize that there's nothing you can really do to change what just happened. It already happened. So, what good is that anger doing for you? The event has come and gone. You'd probably rather not feel angry, and yet you are. And so, this makes you even angrier. And then you probably start blaming the other driver for making you feel this way, and yet you are the one who made the choice to let anger be your reply to their actions. So, when you take that into consideration, without mindfulness, you react mentally, emotionally, and physically to life. And sometimes the consequence of those reactions can actually be even worse than the events that brought them up in the first place. Mindfulness also applies to your own inner awareness just as much as it does to the awareness of the activities taking place in the world around you. In the same way that that rude driver might intrude into your life, negative thoughts or troubling emotions may also interfere with your own inner harmony. So, the practice of mindfulness will help you observe these inner thoughts, feelings, and events and sensations without that judgment. You'll still feel them, but you'll be more aware that they are not who you are and that they are, in fact, temporary. It's inevitable that life will involve some hard times, and you're bound to feel plenty of emotions such as sadness, grief, or anger along the way. We can't be happy all the time. That's it's kind of silly to think that we can be happy all the time. And the reality is too is sometimes and many therapists will also do this when they talk about changing your emotions or reframing them, think of something positive. Well, some to certain things there is no positive alternative. And that's where that acceptance of mindfulness really kicks in, is just accepting it where it is. It doesn't always have to feel good, but we don't have to engage in it either. So with mindfulness, you learn to really observe these feelings without labeling them. You choose to accept it as it is, even if it's taking place inside of you. And this is a truly important concept to understand, because when you allow an emotion to just be, you give it the opportunity to just pass on by. We all have emotions like the tides. They come and go, they rise and fall, and no feeling that you ever experience is permanent. But by labeling them as bad and resisting them or trying to challenge them and change them, then they tend to carry on a lot longer than they need to. So, like Carl Jung says, what you resist persists. So just accept it and keep moving on about your day. You don't have to do anything further than that. So, mindfulness is allowing, and allowing emotions to come and go is one of the most powerful ways to relieve yourself of inner turmoil. When we talk about mindful activities, oftentimes the first thought is meditation. And it's true, mindfulness and meditation go hand in hand, and the practice of one really truly strengthens the others. But unlike other relaxation techniques, mindfulness can be developed to the point where you can practice it right here and now in the middle of any kind of stressful situation. While being mindful, you can still remain alert to what's going on around you and respond appropriately to the situation at hand, but again, without resorting to your autopilot and reacting. By practicing mindfulness regularly, you will find that you accumulate far less of that mental noise or that kind of chaos and that heaviness that may exist within our mind during the course of the day. You'll notice that you'll begin to feel calmer and clearer as you go about through just your normal daily activities. And when it comes time for you to actually practice some sort of daily meditation or really truly focus on that self care that you want to do, you'll find that you're already kind of quiet and open minded to begin with, and it goes a lot easier for you. So, as a result, then you may actually find it easier to enter a deeper state of meditation as you have less mental clutter to kind of work through and less likely to experience those distractions that may come about when you're trying to meditate. So, just like mindfulness enhances your ability to meditate, the practice of meditation strengthens your ability to be mindful. So, during the course of the day, you pick up even less and less of that mental noise and chatter. So, meditation and mindfulness are really synergistic and they're complementary to one another. So, let's explore the concept of mindful meditation a little further. Mindful meditation is a very straightforward type of meditation that's actually pretty easy to learn. A mindful meditation technique will train you really to kind of silence negative thoughts and achieve a far more relaxed, calm state of mind. If you're like most people, you'll find that your mind is really full of repetitive thoughts, and perhaps some of these thoughts are disturbing or even upsetting to you. So, mindful meditation can actually train you again to stop reacting to those thoughts so that they lose your power and begin to fade away. Again, you may not silence them altogether or get rid of them, but you can turn them down. And it will leave you feeling far more emotionally balanced. One of the main reasons why mindful meditation has become so popular with therapists and psychologists and counselors alike and other healthcare professionals is because of that ability to learn how to better regulate your emotions and turn down those thoughts and feelings that have been driving you into states that are, again, more harmful. Through the practice of meditation, your mind can achieve a state of tranquility without being disturbed by outside forces. Mindful meditation is a wonderful way to develop this essential skill so that you can find peacefulness in your life whenever you like. Mindfulness is something you can practice, though, again, even when you're not meditating. So once you've tried mindful meditation, look into other activities and delve into some of different exercises where you can practice mindfulness just throughout your entire day. These additional exercises will boost the effects of meditation and, again, that state of calmness and relaxation that's just going to help you feel good as your day goes on. When we focus on meditation too, it's not uncommon though for people to say, I couldn't do meditation. I can't take that time. I can't turn off the thoughts. They just keep popping in my mind. I get distracted by other things that are going on. And if this sounds like you, take a moment to acknowledge this really important point. Distractions are normal. And that's the whole point of mindful meditation is learn how to deal with these distractions. Remember, the human brain is constantly firing. If, and like I mentioned earlier, if we took a step back and really looked at how our brain functions, we would see those constant thoughts and how they're overlapping and changing in this rapid fire movement. So you're going to have distractions. Things are going to pop in. You're going to be aware of other noises that happen in the room. If you're doing meditation with someone else, you may even hear them breathing, and that could become distracting. But doing the mindful part is, again, acknowledge it, accept it, and then just keep doing what you're doing. So you don't have to sit there and go, oh, I'm distracted, I can't do this. Just be able to tell yourself, I notice I'm feeling distracted. Take a breath and go right back to your meditation or whatever mindful activity you're engaging in. So no matter what arises during those mindful minutes, just observe it and let it go. So picture your distractions as like puffs of clouds in the sky, and they don't really hang out very, very long, and they're constantly changing, constantly moving. So as you return your attention to your breathing, they begin to drift away or evaporate altogether. And there is a really great meditation for this, and it's actually one that's on my channel called, Leaves on a Stream. And it's being able to take the thoughts out of your head and place it on the stream and just notice it as those thoughts may get stuck along the water or they may kind of swirl around, or they're going to be there, but eventually they do fade away and they float away and you don't have to deal with them anymore. So these distractions may come in the form of thoughts, worries, agitations, negative emotions, desires, drowsiness, doubts. You name it, you could be distracted by it. But again, as you accept it, you begin to release them immediately through your mindful activity. Just continue to apply this practice of observation, letting go, and returning your attention to your breathing and your mindfulness. If you practice mindfulness and some sort of meditation exercise daily, you will quickly find yourself becoming more and more calm and less bothered by distracting thoughts and more peace with yourself. So, like I already mentioned, one of the greatest benefits of mindfulness is an increased appreciation of life. A person who is highly attentive and mindful tends to find out that all of their life's activities become more fulfilling. And that's because we can find ways of making even the most mundane tasks more mindful. And then we're not, again, engaging in those thoughts that may make those tasks a little bit more annoying to us or mundane to us. So you may find that you have, all these pleasant experiences going on throughout the day, such as just eating your food or listening to music or even talking to a friend or coworker. You'll find that these activities are more vivid and satisfying simply because you're more fully in the moment. And also, ordinary everyday experiences like driving your car or washing dishes can take on a whole different quantity of, just vibrancy and fascination because you're actually enjoying what you're doing. And if you kind of think about that, it's the way that we practice the mindfulness. And so let's explore a little bit about what that actually looks like and some of the tools used within mindfulness. Part of mindfulness and one of the powerful tools behind it is truly engaging all of your senses. And that's how we are able to make even some of those most mundane tasks more enjoyable. So let's take a moment and try that. So right now, I'd like for you to just become aware of this moment. You don't need to concentrate hard on it. But right now, within this moment, there's a part of you that's just saying that I'm aware and nothing more. So just stop for a moment and listen. Listen not to your thoughts, but maybe the space between your thoughts, the quiet times between them. That space is awareness. It's always there, always available to you. It's consciousness prior to thought. It's that true self or the spiritual dimension of your being. And when you learn how to practice mindfulness, you learn to view life through the eyes of your true self. So there's really no magical formula of turning mindfulness on. There's no, button to press or, nothing that you can take that just kind of makes it happen. All you have to do is simply choose to become aware of this moment and allow that true self to engage in your life. For many people, that little moment of taking time and just being silent and kind of paying attention to the space between our thoughts can be really difficult. It seems kind of an intangible concept, and it can be a difficult one to master without some regular practice. And again, it's not like you can just take a potion and immediately you're able to be more mindful. But sometimes what we need to do is find an anchor that we can use to help us be more mindful. And one of those anchors that we can use is the breath. So we might kind of take a little bit of an opportunity to just be more mindful of our breathing and just notice how our breath is kind of moving in and out of our body, how we feel as we're breathing. We may notice our shoulders rising and falling. If you're definitely a chest breather, you may notice the movement of your chest or the movement of your belly if you're a little bit of a deeper breather and a belly breather. You may notice just how you feel as the breath leaves your body and as you're kind of taking that breath back in. You can use your heart as an anchor and just listen to the heartbeat as it's thumping. Or again, by engaging your senses, you can use something else in the room as an anchor that you're just able to kind of use and focus on that and keep you in the present moment. Once you find that anchor and you're more aware in that, now you just simply make a choice. You begin to pay attention to that breathing. Your mind flows in and out of the moment of your breath, the feeling of your chest expanding and contracting, and you resolve to keep your awareness on that anchor, on that breathing. You're still perfectly capable of walking around or doing any other activity while you do this, because mindfulness isn't about zoning out from reality, it's about engaging in reality. And it's not, again, about suppressing our thoughts or our feelings. It's about just being aware of them and acknowledging them. So, whatever you experience in this world, whatever you think or feel, breathe it in, then breathe it out. Be conscious and aware of your experience without judging. Just be, just breathe, live freely in the state of mindfulness. So let's try that anchor breath for a bit and just kind of spending that time doing a little bit of a mindful meditation on just focusing on our breathing. So if you aren't already, just sit in a comfortable place or make yourself more comfortable wherever you're at and begin paying attention to your breathing. You don't have to take a deep breath. You don't have to change the way you're breathing, especially for those of you who might find deeper breathing more uncomfortable. Just focus on the way you're breathing right now. Notice the physical sensation of the air filling your lungs and then slowly leaving. When your mind wanders, which it will, simply notice your thoughts and turn your attention back to your breathing. And it's just as simple as that. And I may know for some of you, maybe if you're trying this for the first time, it may have been a little struggle. Just keep going back to it and keep practicing it throughout the day. Again, like I already mentioned, we can turn the most mundane activities into mindfulness practices too. One of the activities that I often like to do, whether it's, just kind of walking around the office or actually going out and taking a walk, is what's known as a mindfulness walk. Again, when we're on autopilot, oftentimes we're not really enjoying the things that we're doing. So while we're walking, make a point to practice mindfulness. So just start by noticing how your body moves and feels with each step. Then expand your awareness to your surroundings. What do you see, hear, smell, feel? This technique can also be expanded to other daily activities. You can do mindful eating. How often do we rush through our eating? Because especially during lunch, because we're running off to kind of the next thing that we have to do. But taking that opportunity to just slow down and enjoy our food. What is the texture of the food? What does it smell like? What's happening as you're chewing that food? This is also really great if you're trying to take a diet, because you're eating slower and you're not wolfing down your food, and you're actually getting a little bit more of the nutrients about this as well. You can do mindfulness for when you're taking your shower in the morning, or for you ladies when you're putting on your makeup. I think we're definitely mindful then, but even sometimes in those moments, we're thinking about what we have to do next. How about being mindful on your drive to work and really kind of taking in your surroundings as you're doing that? And even just kind of going back to the walk exercise, as you get up and you walk from one room to the other, or one building to another, or wherever it is that you're walking to, even from your office to your car, just find some opportunities to be more mindful with that. Now, even though our mindful activities are already engaging in the senses, we're really kind of talking about what we can hear, feel, smell, kind of, using all of that to bring us back to the present moment. Even if we're focusing on just something as simple as our breathing, we're noticing all the sensations that go along with our breathing. We can actually take that further by making a conscious effort to notice the present moment through each of our senses. And one of those activities that helps with that is a grounding activity known as the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is something that's actually very helpful for people who experience trauma because it helps kind of get them out of their head and back into the present moment so they're not experiencing that flashback or that hypervisualization that can really exist within some sort of trauma trigger. So the five senses or the grounding technique is just as simple as noticing and observing five different things that you can see, and four things that you can feel, three things that you can hear, two things that you can smell, and one thing that you can taste. And you can kind of move those around if you want to. I always like to leave the taste as a last one because oftentimes when we talk about the taste, people want to grab something, whether it's, taking a drink of water or like popping a Menta or a piece of gum in their mouth, but we don't always have that with us when we need to. And the taste one is sometimes really hard if we don't have something that we can like physically actually eat, because then it really talks about just tasting what's already in your mouth, like noticing just kind of the sensations that already exist within your mouth. And for some people, there may not be a whole lot of that. So leave the taste one to the last. But you can do the other ones in kind of any order that works best for you. You can also do these grounding by focusing on only one or two of the senses. For most of us, we have ones that we are kind of more drawn to than the others, ones that feel more comforting and relaxing. I happen to be really strong with the sense of sound and with the sense of touch. So, sometimes when I need to be mindful, it might be what am I listening to? And it could be just as simple as listening to music that makes you feel more mindful, or maybe picking out the different sounds in the room. But touch too is very calming and relaxing, and a lot of people respond to touch. So, what are the things that you're doing to help you be mindful in those ways as well? Smell is another one that's really powerful for a lot of people because smell is often triggered directly back to our memories, and it's one of the ways that we actually retain many memories. And that's why when maybe smell that vanilla, you have that instant memory of your grandma baking cookies, but being able to incorporate different smells in our days to help us be more mindful and present within the moment. And that may be as simple as, a perfume or a cologne that you wear, if you have a scented candle or flowers in your room, or going even further and doing something along the lines of aromatherapy, and being able to use that. The sight is, again, just anything that's around you, anything that you can look at and stare at, and just, again, observe all these senses. Don't label them, don't judge them, just let them exist as they are. Body scan is another mindful activity, and there is a body scan post on the Thoughtful Thursday playlist if you'd like to be able to go ahead and do that. But it's just being able to notice the physical sensations without your body. And you start with your feet and you work your way up to your head, and you can go back down if you want to. It's just kind of completely up to you. And you spend anywhere between 15 seconds to a minute on any part of your body. And unlike progressive muscle relaxation, where you're tensing and releasing those muscles, body scan is just allowing your body to feel what it is. So you may notice certain areas are painful, or you may notice certain areas are more relaxed. You may notice that certain areas are tense, but you don't try to change them, you just let them be. The reality is that anything you do can be mindful, even as simple as when you're getting up and you're getting dressed in the morning, and taking those opportunities to be mindful in that. Any activity that you can think of can be used as a focal point for mindfulness training. Just allow the activity to be your anchor to that present moment. Again, even the most mundane, everyday habit can be transformed into a mindful activity that comes alive with newness and presence and power when you practice mindfulness. And you can engage in mindfulness exercises anytime and anywhere. The secret is to place all of your attention on what it is that you're doing and be completely in the now. Thank you for joining me again today. I hope that this, post gave you a little bit more insight into mindfulness and how you can turn any activity into a mindfulness exercise for you. You don't have to take a whole lot of time outside of your day. Although if you want to have something that's much more guided and a practice that's going to help lead you into a direction, there are plenty of those out there for you to be able to choose from. There's plenty on my channel that you can watch and follow along with. But the goal is, again, to find the ability to be present in your moment and the day-to-day stuff that you do, to get yourself off of autopilot and fully engage in your life and find that enjoyment and that fulfilling, just sense of being, even amidst something that may be uncomfortable and chaotic to you. It doesn't have to change and turn your day into something negative. Remember, it's only a moment. It's not going to last forever. Be mindful, be accepting, and just keep going through. And you'll notice that your outlook on life will change dramatically. So thank you again. I wish you all well. Take care, and I hope to see you next time.